Mi gente, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Real Estate Talk Show, Home Buying 101 with Sebastian Cordoba, Mr. Clear to Close. Guys, this week I'm super excited, not because of only the topics and the very important topics we're going to be talking about, but because of a very, very special guest that I'm going to have. That's right, I'm going to have Nelly Soto, real estate broker from Century 21, and also recently elected city council woman from Methuen. On top of that, she's also a best-selling author. Recently launched it, so please stay tuned, don't miss it, like it, comment, share it, and let's talk some real estate. All right, guys, so please, big round of applause, make some noise for my good friend, Nelly Soto.
Thank you for having me here. It is great to be with you today. I'm excited to share time with all of you today. I love your energy. And thank you for doing this for your community.
Thank you. No, Nelly, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. So before we get into this, I like to also share with everybody, the reason we like to do this is because we're like-minded. I know you like to serve and help the community and give back and educate, right? So thank you, right? So kind of tell us a little bit how you got into the business, kind of what your passions are, and who's Nelly?
Well, again, we met through the business of real estate. Yeah. And so Nelly Soto has been in the industry now 20 plus years. I want to say 21 going on 22. I started early, and I was a young 22-year-old. Okay. And that brings me towards a trajectory of selling real estate, investing in real estate, developing real estate, and the ups and downs of what has happened in real estate in the past 22, as you know. Oh, so we met through the industry.
Yes, that's right.
Transactions have been great. They've been sour. But at the end of the day, the purpose of what we do is to help families get into a home that eventually will create wealth and generational wealth for them and their children. Yes. And so that's why we wake up and do what we do.
Exactly.
And so real estate has been really good to me. And part of that is because it's connected me to people like you, but also to organizations like the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals.
Phenomenal.
I'm a national board member with them.
And so, and kind of talk a little bit about that. I mean, the purpose of that is creating sustainable home ownership. I mean,
yes. So we focus on advancing Hispanic home ownership in the U.S. as a whole. And one of our assets is the Hispanic Wealth Project. And so what happens is, as we help our community become a homeowner, we're also helping them create generational wealth. Right. So the Hispanic Wealth Project, it launched over the recession in 2008, and it realized that, hey, our demographic lost 3/3 of his wealth during that period. Wow. So we...
so was it managed correctly? I mean, is that maybe...
No, so basically we were the ones that suffered most from those predatory lending practices that happened back then.
Gotcha.
In the early 2004,
7, 8, 6,
and then when the crash happened in 07, 08, that's when we realized, hey, our community lost it all. They put it all into buying this home with the hope that they would be able to afford it later, refinance, and that didn't happen. No. So with that being said, that project launched under NAREP, the Hispanic Wealth Project launched to be able to help our community sustain and create generational wealth.
Love it.
And so our latest report just reported that we've been able to achieve triple Hispanic wealth in the past 10 years.
Amazing. So it's a good bounce back. I mean, it's basically what our community went through. It's good that professionals like ourselves have stepped in and been able to educate and make sure that it doesn't happen again, right? Because for lending, I mean, now it's difficult, right? I mean, we ask for a lot. The only thing we don't ask is your blood, your hair, and your nails, right? I mean, it's basically we ask for every document. We want to make sure everything is squared away, right? The credit, the income, but.
Correct. So part of that is that we have professionals like yourself that can now help in language and in culture. Yep. So when you're being served in your community in language and in culture, you're more prone to move forward. And you're more prone to, I don't want to say do riskier investments, but you're more prone to do the next step and not only buy one property, maybe two, or maybe turn it into an investment business.
So think more long term.
Yes, which is what we've seen.
Love it. Love it, Nelly.
Yes.
So, I mean, so it's the passion. So, you know, I know everybody's excited. A lot of people taking notes. And so tell us, I mean, aside from that, you know, you're also involved with the city, right? I mean,
yeah, so those that know me know, and I know when I came today, you said, hey, you changed your hair color.
Yes.
I get bored.
Looks good, by the way.
Thank you. I get bored. I don't want to say easily, but I don't like monotony in the sense of like, you know, always doing the same thing over and over again. And our business, Gibbs does that because every transaction, even though we're dealing with families and every situation is different from the people-to-people aspect, the idea of the paperwork is always the same and our process is always the same.
Yes.
So in my career, I decided, you know what, I think I want to serve in the public sector. And that happened because I was trying to bring in more inventory into the marketplace on the private sector. And I was hitting walls. Oh, wow. Meaning that every time I tried to develop something in a small town, there was all this red tape around zoning. And, oh, well, you know, it shouldn't be a multifamily. It should be a single family. So and so, like, a constituent would show up and oppose that. And even though I had what was required by the town, a constituent showing up and saying, not in my backyard, would definitely deter from that project happening.
So quickly like that.
So quickly, yeah. And the thing with that is that it's great that we have a voice in our cities and towns.
Yes.
But it also deters from developers or small-time builders coming in to bring in that stock that's so needed so that, you know, my daughter can buy a home and become a homeowner. And
not compete so much for, you know, for one property, which is what we're seeing now.
And so what's happened in the market is that because there's not enough inventory, prices have escalated. Yes. Why? Because supply and demand, right?
Yeah, basic economics 101.
Exactly. And so I got tired of hitting all these dead ends and not being able to bring in as much inventory as I wanted to, that I said, you know what? If you can't beat them, you join them.
Yes.
And so I said, I'm going to run for office and I'm going to educate, at least in my community, a lot of the people that do serve on these boards and on city council about this need that we have and why we need it in our community and how it impacts our community. And it's educating on, there are certain things like, or comments when you go to these meetings like, oh, it's going to overwhelm our school systems. That's one of the myths that's out there. There's also like, oh, we don't have enough land. Well, what does your zoning look like? If your zoning looks like 2-acre lots per single family, well, you do have enough land.
There's plenty of land there, 2 acres.
So there are still towns in Massachusetts. We're mainly a single family state. So most of our zoning in the state of Massachusetts is designated for single family.
Wow. So
in towns like Marlborough, where we are today, you don't feel that way. No. But as you expand outside, it is.
You'll feel it. You'll see it.
Yeah, it's mainly single family zoning.
That's amazing.
So talking about how do we change that in our community to bring in housing for all, not only first-time home buyers. So when we talk about housing, we have to really identify that we need houses for homeless, we need houses for affordable housing, we need veterans, elderly or aging in place.
Yes, 55 plus communities.
Correct. If you know, well, 55 communities, I'm going to be honest with you, 55 20 years ago is not what 55 is today.
True. We're living a little longer now, no?
Exactly. Yeah. And so when we talk about aging in place, what I look at is, well, now you want to maybe wean out of work or not work as much, or maybe you're done with all your responsibilities as far as like maybe, you know, putting your kids through college, if those were some of your goals.
Empty nester now maybe or something.
If you're an empty nester, how do you still keep your same quality of life and stay in your community that you've been in for so long and that you're comfortable in, right? Without having to lose your home.
Everything, everything you built for so long.
Correct, because what's happening, for example, in Methuen is you sell your home for a good price, and I'll throw a number out there, $600,000 on a single family per average. Okay. And you go buy another place to live, maybe a condo. All right. And that's $800,000. And so here you are.
That's crazy. And then plus the condo fee too, which is ridiculous.
Even if you put all your monies, let's say you had no debt, you still have to mortgage again $200,000.
Yeah.
To me, that's unacceptable. If you want to stay in your community and you want to age in place.
Wow.
And so those are conversations that we have to start having.
And I love it. And that's powerful. And I think that we need more, you know, intelligent young professionals like yourself coming in and, like you're saying, joining, you know, those rooms where you make these powerful decisions, right? But not only are you going in empty-handed, no, you're going in with the knowledge of working in real estate and understanding how much or what kind of benefits are going to bring by, you know, opening up development, right?
Correct. And also opening up the doors for practitioners like you. If you want to become a developer at a smaller scale, how can I bring you into a community and build inventory?
Right.
Because the big developers are not going to be interested in the projects that you're interested in as a starter. But you know your community probably even better because you live, work, play here, right? So that's why I decided to go into public policy. And running was really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so tell me, was it
running
exhausting, I'm sure, or what?
So I said to myself, actually my campaign manager, which is also a real estate colleague, I mean, you got to love the real estate community. Once you say you want to do something, you know, they're like, yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Collaboration.
Let's
go.
go.
That was great. So my campaign manager said, you know, we're really going to have to go knock on door. And I said, oh my God, are you serious? I'm not even doing that for business. It's like, yeah, we got to knock on door. We got to make the phone calls. We got to show up at events. We got to do the sign holding. So we did all that.
Wow.
But
how long did it take? I mean, if you don't mind me, how long did you have to?
We pre-gamed.
Okay.
So we started in May.
Oof.
We pulled papers in July.
Okay.
And elections were in November.
Good for you.
So all the way,
Hustle.
we had weekly meetings, strategy meetings. But knocking on door was probably one of the things that gave me the most insight, right? And
because you saw people eye to eye, face to face, you see what they're living.
I had conversations. One of the things that they would say to me is like, "You're the only one that came to knock on the door." So I had conversations with constituents that when they would say something like, "So and so was the last person I voted for," and when I said, "Oh my God, this person hasn't been on the council for 12 years," so I was talking to people that lost trust in our system. And so what was really impressive about that was that I was able to say, well, if you register to vote, there's hope, right? Because now you've met me, I've listened to you, and I'm going to follow up with you on your concerns.
That's powerful.
And so doing that, you know, over and over again, I was able to top the ticket, which my colleagues say that's impressive.
Top the ticket. Okay.
Yeah,
What does that
so
mean?
basically what they're telling me that means is that I won by like 200 and something votes over an incumbent.
Whoa.
So that had
huge.
served 3 terms already in the council.
Okay.
So the first elected Latina into council in Methuen, which, hooray, I'm excited about that.
Yes, big round of applause.
Thank
Let's go.
But, you know, I think it's more that the community felt seen and heard and identified with. So, because I got inboxes or DMs, like we should call it. I got DMs saying like, hey, for the first time, I feel like a mom, a business owner,
Wow.
you know, someone that is actually caring for
Part of the community.
Yeah, is going to represent me. And so that really made me feel good about the choice of serving because there's one thing that happens, right? The closer you get to your goal, you get like this emotion of like, darn, this is getting real. I might win, and this is going to be a lot. And so that happened to me. And so getting those messages were really inspirational and gave me a lot of hope and really validated the fact that I ran for the purpose of what it is, right? Representing my constituents. I don't have aspirations of higher office right now.
Okay.
I'm a person that...
Yeah, what are your goals? And like, what's your end goal with? Yeah.
I enjoy, or I thrive in spaces where I learn and grow. So I think this is going to give that to me in this next stage of life.
Nice.
And, you know, I get to network. And as you know, in real estate, that's one of the things that keeps us going is networking and connecting.
Of course.
And so I'm looking forward to that in the council.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So with that, I want to extend not only an invitation, but also my hand to any constituents here that want to run in the future.
Okay.
Here in Massachusetts, I am willing to be, you know, of advice or of mentorship. And so if they reach out to me, my information is on the show.
Yes.
And they just mention you on your show, and I'll gladly help.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. I'm going to have to sign up myself.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But no, thank you, Nelly. And that's huge because, you know, you're bringing a lot of value. You really care about what you're doing, and you're willing to help, right? You're not willing to just be complacent. You want to see others grow with you, which is beautiful, right? So can't do it all by yourselves.
And then finally,
yes.
This past year, I embarked on this journey of breaking the glass ceiling.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine and a life coach, because I believe that
so please hold it up. You got to hold it up. So tell us about it.
All of us need guidance of some sort. I always say, if you're struggling and nobody in your sphere can give you the advice for whatever reason, look out for a coach or a therapist, you know, someone that can guide you.
Okay.
And so I had met Judy Veras Bueno I want to say the beginning of the year. And we started working together.
Nice.
And she had this project and said, I'd like you to be part of this book. And so I signed up on the journey. There's a few other local authors. One of them is Ms. Peggy Pratt, which is also in real estate.
Yes.
She had been on your show.
Yeah, shout out to Peggy.
Peggy, yes. So she's in the book. Another young girl by the name of Lourdes Henao is in the book. She works for a big company here in Massachusetts. And she talks about her story is very interesting. Talks about how when you handle a lot of green money, things turn to be different in boardrooms because you're not seen as a young, dark Latina. You're looked at, you know, green doesn't...
like a dollar sign.
Yeah, exactly. So her story is really interesting, and it's in here. Chris Fleming, which is an HR director, great insight. And then you have Zoila, which is an Gomez is an immigration attorney.
Nice.
So everybody tells, and myself, Nelly Soda, we all talk about our story. But my chapter, just to give you a snippet of it, talks about the imposter syndrome.
Okay.
And it talks about how I'm a first-generation Latina here in the U.S.
Okay.
And so even though I was born here, I was sent to my mother's country, Dominican Republic.
Oh, nice. Okay.
For the first few years of my life.
Okay.
And so I learned to speak Spanish before I learned to speak English.
Same here, yeah.
And so what happens with that is when you come back to the U.S., and this is a conversation that I have with other first-generation Latinos, is that I used to think in Spanish.
Yes.
Before I could reply to you.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And so bottom line, it triggered this imposter syndrome in me where I was like, which side of the aisle do I belong to? Am I full-blown American? Or am I this full-blown Latina? Or am I supposed to be a hybrid? And so that's what my chapter is about. It's about navigating these two worlds.
Wow.
Where, how do I fuse them? And how do I use them where they benefit me better? But at the same time, understanding what didn't help me.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, so, it does. Wow.
What
chapter is that? Because I'm going to that chapter right away.
I wanted to make an offering to you today that the first person to DM you, inbox you about this show, I will send them a copy of the Breaking the Glass Ceiling.
No way.
Yes.
This is amazing.
And I will dedicate it to them and sign it, and I'll ship it to them. So
thank you, Nelly. So please, guys, Facebook, Sebastian Cordoba Mortgages, the first person to send a message. Please say any comments, ask any questions that you want, or any insights, compliments to Nelly. Again, thank you. Or my Instagram page, Mr. Clear to Close. First person to send a message is getting a free copy of this amazing book, Breaking Ceilings.
Thank you.
Right, Nelly? No, thank you. This is great.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. So Nelly, before we let you go, okay, and I know everybody's super excited, right? Leave us with one last piece of suggestion and advice, a tip, something that you think is really important for us to hear. Okay, but more importantly, Nelly, what's the best way for us to reach out to you?
Okay, so I'll start with the advice first and then how to reach me. So there's one thing that I live by every day, and it's that when I wake up, I use a gratitude, I don't want to say journal, but a way of expressing gratitude for everything that's in my sphere and my space. But I also am grateful for the things that no longer serve me. So with that, I want to leave a message that if you're stuck or you have certain people around you that you feel are anchoring you, keeping you stuck, understand that it is best for you to move on and move forward. It's a little painful, but in the end, you will see that your environment will flourish. And I am a great and true example of that.
Okay.
It's in the book, but with that being said, understand that gratitude and understanding you first, serve yourself first, and push forward.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, no, thank you, Nelly.
And then
yes,
I could
please.
be reached at, so Nelly Soto, Century 21 Northeast. The best way to get me is cell phone or text, but they can also email me. The email's on the screen.
Yes.
And my number's on the screen, and it's text friendly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nelly, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it, all right? It was great. And mi gente, thank you so much for coming, tuning in. I know it was an awesome episode. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Please like it, comment, share it, subscribe it. See you next week. God bless.